All right, so let's get started. So in episode 1, we were remaking gmofreven's city map. And in the last episode, what we ended up doing was we created all the terrain. We used these hills for our strokes. We created basically a lake or river island here, and we created access with the bridge. We created our walls for defenses. Remember, defenses work well when there's height. That gives the attacker the disadvantage, while the defender has the advantage using height. Arrows can go farther. You can see farther. So you want to create a defensible position or something defensible for your city. So we ended up doing that. And then we were able to get a few districts in. We made this military district. Our logic was is that because it's close to the main gate, that allows troops to mobilize and defend the gate when necessary. Otherwise, if you had your barracks in the military district all the way up here at the castle, they would have to travel all the way down the road to get to the gate. So what we should do is we should have the main military encampment here. Maybe you have some smaller barracks later next to each one of our gatehouses here, just so that they can quickly mobilize to the gatehouse. So we'll probably do some of that. But our focus today will be on doing mostly infrastructure. And this section that you see right here, we're going to have this be infrastructure. That doesn't mean that you can't mix it with other parts of districts like residential. Normally, when you have infrastructure like lumber, or you have a stonemason or a candle maker, whatever your infrastructure is, they generally live in the same building they work, or a building attached or next to it. So you're going to have a little bit of residential in almost every district you make, because you need people to work in that district or to be employed in that district. So always kind of keep in mind, you're always going to be mixing a little bit of residential in all of your districts. Where in the Discord server would one submit a map? You know what? Just shoot me a DM. I'm Mati. Just shoot me a DM and I will take that map, okay? And let me know too which one you're applying for or which one you're putting it in for. There's like 3 or 4 episodes. But yeah, let me know. Okay, and then we also did a university district, and we really got into the details of how to put together a district by putting focal points, by adding in our roads, by framing our roads with using bushes, and by throwing in trees and other types of foliage to give the district a little bit more pop to it. Because if it's a mix between two things, structures and nature, those things cause contrast, causing it to pop out. So kind of important to keep that in mind. So let's go over our visuals and our notes over here. We had a little visual over here to kind of help us out with what our districts were. And as you can see, the infrastructure one is kind of the largest. It has things like smiths, woodworks, masonry, inns, markets, shops, and of course a whole plethora of other infrastructure. And really, when you're adding these to a city, I hear a lot from people, they say, well, what should I add? And then people go haywire and they add all of these different types of, candle makers and honey makers and mead, and all of that stuff is great. But the truth is that if your players aren't going to actually interact with it, or if it doesn't play any kind of role in the story, it's just kind of in the background there, it's not nearly as important. What is important is that you have the major infrastructure stuff, because sometimes that major infrastructure your players are going to get involved with, right? Your players are going to go to shops. They're going to buy potions and weapons. They're going to stay at an inn to sleep and rest. They might go to a market to get information about NPCs that they're trying to capture. They might need a stonemason to help do a fetch quest because the lord of that place needs stone, and you're being paid as laborers with a little twist of some murder in there somewhere, right? So in other words, if you're going to place your infrastructure, it just being there just for the heck of it, just to fill out your map, it's not nearly as important. It's just more work for yourself. Generally, for the most part, you would need to have infrastructure that's really going to be mattering to your game. All right, so that's something that I generally do. And someone in the chat mentioned that the administration is lacking. Well, I would consider the administration would be kind of this castle right here. This would be where our administration would be. There's also this, there's a temple here and these other kind of districts. We'll fill these all in. I did label a lot of these. Hey, first time chatter, glad that you're here, boring paper. Let me go over here. Let me show you the annotation here, just to kind of give you an idea of the remaining blocks or the remaining districts that we should probably do here. Our infrastructure will be here. Our entertainment could be here, and that could be any number of things. That could be a theater. That could be a coliseum. That could be the one with the horses go around it. I forgot the name of that one already. Someone will have to remind me what the name of that Roman one is with the horses. Somebody remind me what that is. Well, residents, and of course, every district should have a mix of residents in it. University, temple, mage, infrastructure, and castle. I forgot the name of that. I think it's a hippodrome. I think it's a hippodrome, if I remember correctly. The mage is not written on the district list. That's because there was another section with question marks, like we could add additional ones. I think temple and mage kind of go well together, right? Maybe the mages are the caretakers of the temple. They're the priests of the religion of this location. So we'll create a mage section, which will probably have like maybe a different color buildings, maybe some blue buildings to match with the blue temple here. So we have a lot to cover. We probably won't get to all of it, but we'll start with our infrastructure first, because I feel that that's going to be super important. When you go into the catalog and you press the F key, you'll go into the catalog here, and there is a special tag. You can just type special in here, and let me go over here to go show names, and you're going to notice that there's a whole host of buildings that you can kind of choose from, even entertainment like stadiums, this hippodrome / stadium here, coliseums, all these things are there, libraries, masons, runesmiths, all of these things, a lot of these things kind of fall under our infrastructure. And what I would do first is I would start with the inn first, because this is about, to me, this is about proximity. When you look carefully here, about when you first go through the main gate, you go through customs. Probably one of these buildings here would be a customs. You would go through this road and go through here. Once you get into here, the first thing that I would kind of expect are going to be things like inns, taverns, a meadery, whatever it might be, because it's closest to the main gate. And the people who are maybe visiting each section, they don't want to go super far. Like, it would be very bizarre if they have to travel all the way down this road and then travel to the inn that's in this inner bailey, this outer bailey right here of this section, this higher up section. It would make more sense to have some basic infrastructure be close to the main gate so that visitors don't have to travel all the way across the other side of the city to access those things. So the first thing that I'll generally put in my infrastructure will be things like inns and taverns, and an inn and tavern can be the same thing. So I'll go in here, I'm going to go and check my scale. I'll go over here to my city. Let's see here, where are my objects? Let me see here. Walls, here we go. Let me just make sure I got the scale right. About 50%, that's fair. Let's go into here. We'll go ahead and look at inns. I see a big inn. That's a good idea. Let's have a big inn. About 50% works. Okay. Let's go ahead and place the inn just right here. When you first go in, it's just right there. And we can also have some competing inns as well. Like maybe there's a small inn right here. And of course, when you have a major city like this, and you have an influx of people going through the gate, having more than one inn would be helpful, right? Because there's such a large population, so many visitors. So if you put multiple inns, that gives you options. And then you can also, when you go to play with a part in the game or your campaign, you could have multiple inns. So one inn might be have some kind of theme, like maybe it's haunted, or another theme might have a series of fetch quests, or maybe that's where your bounty office is in one of those inns. And I think that's kind of helpful. The other thing to mention is that when you are placing these structures, make sure that the stairs, the way that you get in, is kind of facing towards the road. Otherwise, if you face it this way, like this, and you have a entrance right there, you'll have to create a little road that goes back through here and to meet through there. I'm going to put them to where they're facing right towards the main road. This way it's easily accessible. So we'll start there. Once you've put down that infrastructure, then you have to say, like, well, who are the people who run the inn? Are the owners, do they live? in the structure as well. If not, then we probably want to add some important structures around it, like small amounts of housing that represents where the people who work there, where they live, caretakers that might be in charge of the grounds, people who maybe are renting some stuff around that area that are renting. So you put some smaller houses around it like that. So you have a lot of options. So once I create that, then I'll go in and then kind of select some random houses of my choice. And let's maybe choose some of the same ones just to show that these are like small rental houses. So I'll turn off my random and I'm just going to place a couple just like this. Put 1, 2, and then I'll put a smaller outbuilding at an angle like this. There we go, just to break it up. When you're placing down your buildings, don't forget to throw down some different angles. So I have this nice smaller outbuilding here, and maybe these are like 2 houses that you can rent. Maybe the inn owner owns these 2 houses as well, and at a higher price, you can stay at these individual houses. Okay, that looks good. Let's do the same thing here. Let's go ahead and just line that up, and then I'll take a different house maybe. Let's use a different one. Let's use this, maybe this one right here, and then just place that here like this. That looks good. Okay. All right. Now what I'll do here is I'm going to place all of my different infrastructure, and then I'll build the buildings that will going around that. So here's our inn. Our inns are good. We could also go back into our catalog, go into our specialty. Here's some breweries. Instead of using a red brewery, let's use a green one. And a brewery right next to a tavern or next to an inn makes sense, right? When people wake up or before they decide to go to bed, they want to have a couple nightcaps or whatnot, then there have that inn and tavern just be right next to each other. It makes a lot of sense. And then we'll continue adding infrastructure around adding that. So let's maybe go ahead and place a building here. Let's go ahead and place another building right here like this. Let's go ahead and put 2 right here like this, side by side. These could represent maybe storehouses of some kind. Let's place those there. That looks good. Let's go ahead and place those there. That looks good. Okay, we have that one. Let's go to our next specialty building. What about some important things here like, oh, there's an herbalist right here. Maybe an herbalist is needed to make the finest craft beers. So maybe we have an herbalist here, and that makes sense, right? Because the brewery might go to the herbalist to get the certain herbs that they need to make these very nice beers. So that kind of makes sense. You're starting to get the concept, right? It's about proximity. What's next to what? Brewery's next to an inn. An inn might be next to an herbalist might be next to a brewery. And so it starts to come together when you start to realize how to fill in these spaces. So we'll keep adding more stuff in here. I think we should add things like smiths, masons, all of those things are going to be important. Let's add a mason, and let's go ahead and have this be off to the side, a little bit separate here. So over here, maybe like this, and a mason, we'll put them right next to a smith, which kind of makes sense. So I'll put a smith just right next to there as well. Let me see what other ones we have here. Let's go ahead and place lighthouse, shipyards, a runesmith. Hey, let's add our runesmith in here. We can add that to infrastructure in the higher up parts because we will be putting infrastructure as well up here, because what's important inside of this bailey right here is that this entire section right here needs to be self-sustaining. So we'll have to put some small minor crops in here as well as basic infrastructure to sustain, because during a siege, if these 2 sections get taken, there needs to be infrastructure in each section to sustain that siege. It's kind of important there. Soldiers and inns, there might be a brothel nearby. Absolutely. Whichever that you need. Let's also throw in, let's see, I think also I saw leather workers. I think leather workers also work really well. So let's put that next to our stonemason. I'll just line that up against here like that. That looks good. And then let's keep going here. Let's keep our alchemists. Let's keep our alchemists up to another spot. Let me just look what other things we have here. We have our guilds, small churches. Let's go ahead and put in a very, very small church. in here. Some people might not be able to make it all the way up to this main temple here. So let's just put a small little shrine or temple right here at the end. That looks good. Okay. Let me just look up. Let's also throw in a couple more inns and taverns because, of course, just 2 inns for a very large city would be absolutely crazy. So let's go ahead and put another inn right next to our temple here. And then we'll go ahead and create another inn like right here. There we go. That looks good. And then from here, we can start to fill in with larger blocks because what happens is that you start to, it's going to take a lot of time to put all these little tiny little houses and to fill in these spaces. That's really time consuming. So instead, what you should do is use blocks to fill in the larger negative space. And when I mean negative space, what I'm talking about is space where there are no stamps. All this right here is negative space. So if you use these much larger blocks like this and kind of line them up in a way to where they can kind of fit properly. Let's go set to random. And you can use these blocks to make larger, to fill in these spaces. So if I can go ahead and put this together like this, let's go ahead and put another one together like that. That's looking good. Let's go ahead and put another block. Let's go ahead and, this one should work fairly well like that. I think that looks good. Let me just keep going over each block and see what I can fit in here. That looks good. Let's put in another block over here. I'm starting to see that it kind of fits when you start putting it together. Let's go ahead and put another one like right there. And there's going to be some negative space left, and that is okay because we're going to fill in that negative space with the smaller stamps, and then we'll fill that negative space with shacks, outbuildings, and things like that. We did that in the last episode where the logic is you put your centerpieces first. That in our infrastructure, that was like our inns, our herbalist, our brewery, all of that stuff. We place those first. And then the next step is to place the largest stamps, which are going to be the blocks so that you can fill in space. And don't use the same ones. There's also these ones as well. Lots of different kind that you can use. And then you can also use this even smaller piece you can kind of fit in here. So I kind of fill in these spaces. Let's go ahead and put a block right here. This should look good. Let's place a couple blocks here. Let me go back to the larger one. Okay, let me take a look here. Let's put some there. That looks good. Let's put one. I want to make sure that I line them up properly. It's a little too big. Ah, that one looks good. Just right there looks good. And then we'll go use those smaller ones again and just fit those just right in here like that. That looks good. Okay. I think we filled in most of that. So let's go back to our smaller buildings like we did before, right? And then now you can fit in these smaller structures. So I'll go in like this and just start filling in that negative space. And it won't take nearly as long because you've already filled it in with your smaller, with your larger pieces. So remember that logic that you should always try to put the biggest stamps down first. So that way it's less work for you because it is going to be a lot of work. No matter what, making a city is always time consuming, but you can speed up that process by using that logic, largest to smallest stamp. So that way you're not trying to fill up these large spaces with itty bitty little baby stamps. That's not going to be helpful. So let's go ahead and just fill these in. That looks good. And I'm going to leave some open spaces on purpose because I want to have room for maybe some trees, or maybe a little tiny garden, or maybe space for my outbuildings. So it's kind of important to remember to leave just a little bit of negative space. If it's something like a slum, then it's probably okay to just ram pack that with as many stamps as you can, even stack them on top of each other a little bit to kind of show the crammedness of it. I think that's okay. Okay, let me go over this real quick. Let me see here. Okay, let's go ahead and throw in just a couple more. That looks good. And we'll go throw in these shacks. Remember these pieces right here, these kind of shacks right here? These are going to be very helpful. These are what I use for outbuildings. They might be tool sheds. They might be an outhouse. They might be a servant's quarters. They might be storage units. I mean, the list goes on. So what I'll do is I'll turn my random off a little bit, and I can kind of just place them side by side. And it's okay to use the same ones over and over again a little bit, because you would kind of expect buildings to be similar to each other. Just kind of break it up with a different one from time to time, like put a rando right here. I'm gonna move this over here, and what I think I'll do is I'll also put a market. I'll put a market in here. I'll probably remove this, and then we'll put a whole market in here. What's the point of having put a market here as well? That's a good spot for a market, and then we'll put another one right here. I think that's a good idea. So we'll put in some markets there. Let's go ahead and just add in our last bit of structures here. Put one there, and I'll put one, maybe like a priest's hovel of some kind. So if I can find a blue one, I'll put it like right there. That looks good. Okay. Let me just take a step back. I'll go over Skelligore myth. I'll go over those at the end again. Just try to remind me, okay? I'll write a little note here just to remind myself. Remember to mention them again. I will, absolutely. Okay, where are we at for time? Oh, sweet. 24 minutes, and we've got a lot of this infrastructure already done. That's great. Let's go ahead and build our market. A market is is pretty standard what you would expect. So let's create a market. And what I'll do is I'll create an open market like this. So I'll create a series of tents and stuff that will be kind of going around like this. Let's go ahead and turn the rando on. Put one here, another one here, like this. That looks good. And then this whole thing will be kind of a market. That looks good. That looks good. That one, there we go. That looks good. And then let's put a couple in the center as well, like one there, one there, one right here, and then one right here. Now you could also do other things if you don't like having that. You could also use a fountain or a well. All of those things work as a centerpiece for a market. Like a fountain is not a bad idea, so people can be by the fountain, get water or whatever they want. Put that nice and close, so you now have a nice little market there, nice open space for people to walk around that market. And then we'll put another market right here, which I think is not a bad idea. Let's put it maybe right in front of right here. So I'll go ahead and move this back to market, and we'll put one right here like this, here. It doesn't hurt to have multiple markets. It's actually a pretty good idea, because you would expect a lot of commerce with a larger type of village or town or city. Okay, let's go ahead and take a step back and look at it. Yeah, it looks good so far. Things are coming together. Let's go ahead and continue adding in our shacks and stuff. So that'll be good. And just kind of fit them in wherever you see space for it, right? I see some space here. There's some space there, space there. That looks great. Same thing here. We can place it here. Let's go and put one just around the tower there. That looks good. Let's go ahead and place some here. Let's put one right there. Right along here. Yeah, see, it all kind of comes together when you start putting in the largest to smallest. And just kind of fills on these spaces. Let me just take a step back. See, yeah, it's coming together. And then we'll add in the roads as well. And since we're making good time, we'll move on to the other districts as well. I don't want to stop prematurely, so we'll try to get some other districts or sections done if we can. We'll put that together. Ooh, there's a little open space right here. That's perfect. That looks good. Let's put another open space there. And then we'll put a bunch of shacks here in the back. I'll make them all the same. So let's place a bunch like this. Maybe these are a bunch of storage units of some kind, maybe storage for the inn. They could be tool sheds. They could be whatever you want them to be, right? Okay, let me see here. Oh, there's still tons of space. Let's just keep going here. I want to make sure to fill in as much as possible. And one of the reasons why is because if I want this to be a large city, there's not going to be a lot of open spaces in that large city. So if you want a really big city, there's two things you have to factor in. One, the scale, the size of the buildings, and then how many buildings you can cram in. Because if you want a major city, you're going to need a lot of buildings. If you want a regular size city, then just don't worry so much about trying to fit in 1 million buildings. But this is the way to kind of go about making your major city, is to go ahead and try to fill it with as many structures as possible. Let's just take a step back. There's a lot going on here. Let's see here. I see some more room. I really want to put in a bunch. I think one would work there. Let's just see here. Let's go put some up on the hill as well. Like right here, this could be like a hill. So why don't we put some structures on the hill? Maybe some houses or something on the hill would be nice. Why don't we use these square ones? They're small enough. And I'll just go ahead and put a house on this cliff, a house here. Let's put a house here, here. That looks good. Let's go put one here and there. And then I'll put a bunch of kind of outbuildings with it as well. So we'll put one here. That way it'll work with the sense of depth, because right now it seems kind of flat, but by putting these buildings on this hill right here, you've kind of created a little bit more depth to the city, which I think is kind of nice. So we'll make sure to add a bunch of that. So let's go put some here. I think one there might look good. Thank you, Boring Paper. Yeah, I think it looks good so far as well. It's amazing what doing a method can really help. And I know cities are probably one of the most confusing and most difficult things to make, because it's just, there's so much that you need to do. And all the city planning and putting everything together. Cities are stressful. They're a lot. Okay, let me just take a step back and kind of look at it. All right, cool. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do real quick was I also wanted to create some trees, some shrubbery, some kind of natural elements to it. I don't need to add a lot, but just throwing in a little bit here and there really does a lot. And so the places where I would add trees would be things like, let's go ahead and just click this tree right here. Great locations for trees are going to be places like right next to an inn or a tavern, right? It's just more aesthetically pleasing for people to want to go to your inn if it's got some nice greenery to it. So let's go ahead and just place some trees right inside of these kind of open spaces right here. I think that looks good. We'll also put maybe one in the right by over here somewhere. So maybe we'll put a little tree, maybe just like right here. Let's actually remove maybe these two right here, and we'll put 2 trees at the entrance of that, and that will work out well. Have it overlap a little bit. That looks good. Okay. And then we can also throw trees over by where that temple is. So maybe we want to put a little 4 trees just right here like this to kind of represent a little kind of courtyard thing. Like, let's go ahead and move this out of the way. There we go. Now, I do want to mention another trick that you can do to add a sense of depth that I think you'll find very helpful. And that is, you can create this sense of multiple tiers holding up a block. Let me show you how I would go about doing that. I'm using a studio plan. Okay, let's go over into the catalog here. You're going to notice that there are a couple things here. You have these platforms right here. These platforms work really well, and it's a way of kind of making a section look like it's higher up. And I'll show you a cool little trick that you can do here. I don't know if we're going to end up keeping it here like this, but what you can do is you go over to your pen, and let's just go ahead and follow along. Let me see how big that's pretty big. Let's bring the scale down. 45. And I'm just where the road is, I'm going to go like this with single clicks. And I'm going to create this sense of elevation by creating a kind of a curb of some kind. So let me show you how exactly I put this together. So just along the road here, and then I'll place this curb right here like this. And I'll go down a layer. So now I have this kind of curb right here. And then you can create a series of curbs. Like maybe you want to have this piece right here has another curb, because maybe this is an important block piece. So go into the negative space here and then kind of create this curb right here, just like that. And so you'll start to see that it kind of creates this sense of tiers, right? Like you look at something like the city of Minas Tirith. It has a series of foundations in which all these buildings are standing on top of. That's basically what you're creating here, is this sense of elevation when you're putting these curbs together. The only thing that you need to remember is that because the curb has this gray right here, whatever texturing you're using, you have to make sure that you use one of these kind of stone floor textures. So when I'm painting with the, let's go with foreground layer. When you are painting, you need to make sure that you paint this section right here with a little bit of this kind of white texture. Like this, so that way it kind of looks like it's a block. So that's the one thing you kind of have to keep in mind. And I'm fine with this whole thing being a block right here. This whole thing can be a block, and we'll make it gray, and then we'll build a road that goes on top of that. So again, creating blocks is very, very helpful when using these kind of curb things right here, these platforms. So let's go put that there. And then we can also put in other platforms on the other side as well. So maybe I want to go over this thing right here and go like this, and then just travel all along here. Use that pen so that way you can carefully kind of place the curb. We'll go through like this. There we go. And then there is our curb right there like that. If you see it's facing the wrong way, you go to this flip stroke vertically and it will flip it just like that. And then I can go in and then fill in that piece. So you're getting the kind of idea on how to put it together. And you can have as many of these tiers as you want. If you want to show that your city is on a multiple tiers, then just create a bunch of these blocks, a bunch of these curbs to really create this sense of height. That's what I generally do when I want to create the sense of height. Those platforms are very, very, very helpful when you want to create this sense of depth, because a lot of cities are going to seem kind of flat without them. So now you see that we have this kind of curb type of setup here, which is kind of nice. And you can create as many of those curbs as you want. Maybe I want to remove these two pieces right here, move this out of the way, and then I can create another curb that goes from right here like this, and then goes over to there like that. Oop, let's flip that around. There we go. As you can see, kind of creating more curb sections. So you can do as many of these kind of these platforms as you need to create this sense of depth. And normally what I would do is I would only use these types of platforms unless it's an important section, right? Usually if you want to show like, oh, hey, this block is important, it's important to the story or something, then put it on a platform so that way it will kind of pop out more. Like players will go, oh, well, why is that raised up? This section raised up while this other section isn't. So it's kind of helpful to kind of keep that in mind. You don't have to do that. Every section could have, let's go ahead and move this down a layer, move this one. There we go. Just want to make sure it's on top. There you go. Looks good. It's up to you how many of these kind of platforms that you want to use. We could do it inside to this too, but I think for now, this just works just fine. If you are going to do these platforms, there's a couple questions you have to ask yourself is how much height do each one of these have? So for instance, if you wanted to show that the platform was much higher up, like maybe this section was really, really high up, you would create a staircase, like this to kind of show that it's really high up. If it's just a curb where you just step right over, then you don't need to add a staircase there. So if you want to show that these layers are much higher, like maybe this is a 10-foot rise instead of a curb, put a stair next to it, and this will help to denote that concept that, oh, this is higher up. It's not just a foot level where just a curb or a half step. So kind of important to kind of remember that. Let's go ahead and kind of fill in these spaces that we have right here. There we go. Just go ahead and fill on in all these spots that I kind of missed. Just a little bit of detail work. There we go. It looks good. I think I might also bring the brightness down a little bit on these curbs because they're much brighter than the ground texture that I'm using. So I'll fix that real quick. First, let me just get any spots that I missed. There we go. That looks good. And then from here, what I'll do is I'll go to my lines. Just make sure that I only select these ones. Let's see here, not that one. That looks good. All right, just looking over each thing here. This looks good. All right, make sure everything kind of fit in here. I'm just gonna take a step back real quick. And where are we at for time? 38? No, we're doing good. Okay. Yeah, you guys got the general idea. Yeah, I was going to select all these lines real quick. And there we go. Yeah, I also love making depth on my maps with changing the opacity on the terrain layers. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and bring the brightness down. I'm going to go to tweak colors and just bring the brightness down. And then notice that once it starts to match with the ground texture that I'm using, that's when you know that you brought the brightness down enough to kind of make it match. So you can see that it kind of fits in there. So now you have this very obvious main route that goes through here. And then we're using these, again, these stairs to kind of denote a sense of height to it. So I can also use these ones right here. Like, let's put another one there to show that there's some height here. Going up to there, we'll copy and paste, and then put another one right here like this. In fact, let's go use the other one. This one right here looks good. That looks good. Okay, and then we'll put another one right here like this. There we go. Okay, take a step back, make sure that it fits. Yep, that works good. Okay, so we have our access points. That's good. And because this is higher up, then we should probably put a couple access points. So let's put another one right here like this. We'll copy and paste and put another one up here like this. And then because this is a temple market, maybe we'll put copy paste. We'll have dueling stairs because there's a lot more foot traffic in these kind of public spaces. So we'll put 2 staircases like this so that way people can exit and enter this space without a lot of congestion. That looks good. And I think for this one, this will just be a curb. This will be curb size height. So we won't end up putting any ladders there. Or not ladders, stairs. Okay, where are we at for time? 40, doing good. Okay. Let me just take a step back. Now, I personally don't care for the curbs in this district. I prefer to have the curbs up in this district here, but I wanted to cover that. And we'll go over those curbs again. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove all of these. But I just wanted to show them to you because this is really going to up your game when you're using these. Because I find that a lot of city maps look fairly flat when you look at them. And that's because of this not having these multiple layers. So let's go ahead and go over this again. And then what I'll do is we'll reset our roads. I don't want to have those fancy curbs actually in this district. I would prefer to have that in the more fancier districts. So I'll go back here. And let's go over real quickly how to set up the road when you're putting this together. So I'll go ahead and use the same, I think it's the same texture. It is great. Use this right here. So you'll create your main route first. Remember, we had our main route. And then from here, what's really nice is that because you already have your buildings set up, you now kind of know what areas are important, right? So clearly an inn is important. So let's go ahead and paint a little bit of road underneath the inn. Let's paint a little bit of road underneath this one, underneath all of these really important points of interest. So let's create another one that goes into the market here. Like this, that looks good. Let's go ahead and create another path that goes into here. Also goes into here, as you would expect. These are important locations. Here's some other important locations: a stonemason, woodworker, carpenter. Let's go ahead and make sure that those also get a little bit of road, as you would expect. There we go. And then from here, you can start to create your little tiny branching roads. And now you have this negative space to work with it. So you can go in like this and create a little route. Let's go with 100% opacity. And let's create a little route that travels through here and then connects through here. Create another route that connects in through here like this. That makes sense. We'll connect those to the road. Bring the opacity down a little bit. Let's have it go into here. Here's another nice little road segment. Go in through here, little road segment. So you're starting to see how the road system kind of works. If you make the main route and then you put down the blocks, you can now decide what's going to have important road access and what's not, right? So I think that looks good. There's a little open space here. Why don't we go ahead and fill in this space, going all the way over to here to this one. There's a little space here. Why don't we fill that in? And then let's also create the little routes kind of going to each section, like right here, going to here, a little route that goes to here, and another route that kind of leads in through here, down to here like that. That looks good. Okay. All right. So you're kind of getting the general idea, right? We'll just create a series of roads that kind of branch out here. There we go. Here, that looks good. Oop, let's create another route that goes back here. That looks good. Okay. Let's go ahead and create another route that connects to here, to this section. Let me just take a step back and look at it. Yeah, that looks good. Let's take a step and look at it. Yep, a lot going on here. This is a big section right here. Quite a bit. So we got a lot of infrastructure. And there's a whole lot of other things that you can add. Like we could continue to follow, like putting a little bit of the bushes in like we did before. We'll bring the scale down and make sure it's the right size. It's about the right size. About 23 looks good. And the thing is, remember, it doesn't have to be on every block. I would put bushes maybe in important sections like where the inn is. Like maybe you want to create just a little bit of bushwork right along that inn right here. Maybe a little bit right here. That's a good spot. Maybe put some bushes along here. There's a little open space. Why don't we put little bushes there? Let's also maybe line this part of the road right here with a little bit of bushes. Doesn't have to be the whole thing, just a little bit. Let's maybe put one in each corner of our market. That looks good. And then I'm seeing some open spaces right here. Let's put a little bit of bushes in here. Like that. That looks good. Put in a little bit more here. Okay. Put in a couple here as well. That looks good. And then one thing that we don't have is we don't have a well. And I think what would be important is maybe throwing in a well. So let's go ahead and empty out that space, move this tent for this market to the side, and then right in this section right here, we'll put a well. So I'll go ahead and put a well in here, and I'll just put it right there. That looks good. And then I will also paint in a little path that kind of leads to that as well. There we go. And so now you have a well. All right, I think most of the infrastructure that we need is there. We placed a lot here. 45. Okay. Let me just take a look at it. What I normally do whenever I finish a section, or I think I'm finished with a section, what I'll end up doing is I'll walk along the path, the main route, and kind of move myself around and kind of take a look at things and how I can improve it. Just to kind of do like a little quick review. I'll make sure that the roads are connected. I'll make sure that locations of places work together. My players are going to walk. Are they going to go to the inn first? Are they going to go to the tavern, the brewery? Are they going to go to the herbalist? Are they going to go to the market and talk with maybe some of the people, NPCs there? Are they on a mission to get to the mage college or that university over there? So are they going to like travel all the way up through the road system through here? Maybe they stop at a temple. Maybe there's a brawl taking place at the market and they chase after somebody and they go to a temple. So there's a lot of different things. It's always nice to just kind of zoom in for a second and just kind of make sure there's a sense of coherency when you're walking around. I do the same thing with my battle maps too. But I think I'm done with a battle map, I'll pretend I'm my players and I'll walk around and make sure that there's some sense of coherency, that things make sense. And I think there are some things that we could do to make this just slightly more interesting. And that is that we could put some buildings in the center of the road. So for instance, there's a lot of room in this road, but we could fit these very small buildings in the center, kind of splitting the road into two, making it to where there's maybe oncoming and going traffic. So put some buildings in the center there like this. It could be anything you want. It also doesn't have to be buildings. It could just be a patch of grass or whatever you want it to be. But I'm going to be using some buildings here. And I think this will kind of split the road in half. And that will make it more interesting for, maybe I can put some tracks on the thing there or whatever. I'll look for some of these more open spaces and maybe I can fit like a bigger building. Maybe some right here and right here. And again, what that does now is it splits the road. And now you have some idea of maybe people go this way to get to the gate. Like this. And maybe they go that way to go up to the other spot. So I think kind of putting things in the center fills in some negative space, but it also splits traffic, making it less congested. So I think that's a good idea. And then just because we were talking about tracks, let's go ahead and throw those in because tracks are really nice. And there should be some track here, cart tracks. These are perfect. We're going to use these And then this way I can kind of take these longer track pieces. Let's go down a layer, bring the scale down a little bit just to get the scale right. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just kind of place these tracks down, and I'll go ahead and just kind of use, let me see if I can find the right ones. This one right here, that looks good. Cool. And then I can go in and kind of use this longer one. I'll go like this. And then I can kind of place these together and I'll make these kind of tracks. So I'll copy, paste. That looks good. Copy, paste this one. I should be able to curve it just a little bit. Maybe curve it a little bit more this way. There we go. That looks good. Copy, paste this. That looks good. Let's go ahead and move it a little bit this way. I'm just going to go ahead and take all of these and just kind of make some tracks here. We'll copy and paste another one. Let's go this way. And what's really cool is that you can also crisscross them too a little bit. Like maybe you want to have one go like this and then crisscross to this one to make it look like it's overlapping. It's usually not just one set of cart tracks, right? It's usually multiple. So make sure that you do have some overlapping of your tracks a little bit, and that will make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more, seem a little bit more realistic when you do it that way. Let's go ahead and keep just adding as many as I need here. Thought I saw another curved piece right here. That looks good. And then I'll go ahead and take those long pieces and kind of put it together like this. That looks good. There you go. And you're starting to see the tracks here. They are a little too dark against that light ground. So what I'll do is I'll select them all, go to blend mode, go to luminosity, get them to kind of match more with the color underneath of them. And then what I might do is I also might just bring the contrast down and the brightness up just a little bit. And what this should do is it should diminish how bright the tracks are, and that should give it a little bit more, won't pop out nearly as much. And what's also important to do is to also maybe mix and match. Like there's a circular one here, maybe a cart turned around, right? So maybe having a track like this to make it look like it turned around to go back to the gate. Those are good choices. Luminosity, see? And so now you have these nice tracks here. There you go. And that is really going to really add a sense of a little bit more like there's something going on when you add in these tracks. Where we at for time? 51. We're going to keep going here. We'll add a couple more. I'm going to take these tracks and I'm going to have them also go into the market, as you would expect, right? They need to go into the market. So we'll go ahead and put some tracks together going into the market here. Let's go ahead and put maybe a curved one, straight one going in like this. Maybe a slight curved one going in here like this. And I'll go ahead and use the longer curve to go right here like this. And another one goes around like that. There you go. So it kind of goes like the carts are going around that. That works out really well. Okay, that looks good. Right. And then we can add more cart stuff. Like maybe you want to have a cart that goes into this space like that, right? And then you want to show that there's been multiple curves there. So let's go ahead and go like this. And then that way you have multiple pieces. So it kind of makes sense. Same thing here. Maybe I want to have the cart went this way towards that way. Or maybe another one went this way to go towards the well there. Same thing here. I want to have put a little cart track that goes right to the well. Just like that. And then maybe put these two together like that. There we go. Put another one right here like this to make it look like it's gone around this a couple times, right? Starting to make a little bit more sense. Same thing here. I'll try to connect these if I can. It looks a little too big. Is there a smaller one I can use? This one might work like that. That might work. There you go. Yeah, feel free to ask a question, Recon. I don't mind. Be my guest. I'll just keep putting things together while you type out that question. I don't mind. All right, let me just take a step back. Yeah, these tracks really, really add to it. They add quite a bit. So let's just finish up the rest of the tracks in this section, and then we will call it good. Looks like there's going to be part 2, part 3, part 4. Making a city, as I mentioned, is a very, very time-consuming endeavor. There's no way to make it go by super fast, but there are ways to make it go by quicker. That's what the whole having methods is all about. Let's go ahead and connect these together. I'm going to go ahead and just keep connecting as much of these as possible. Yeah, the tracks are really helpful, Shad. I find them so... Shadi, sorry. I find them very, very helpful. tracks are fabulous. The only problem that I have, I wish, was that these were more of on the line tool instead of just stamps, and I'll definitely be requesting that. So that's the only kind of downside. But let's just go ahead and put these tracks, keep placing these together. We want to put them here like this so that way they really go to well together. We'll put that one there, another one like this. I see the question here. I'm going to go ahead and answer this question real quick. We're near the end, so I don't mind a little Q&A, but let me just quickly just go over this question here. So Recon553 says, so I'm making a map for my D&D campaign, and I want to put it in squares so the player, now the 5 feet rule D&D have in common. Is it possible to put in the map you make, and how? Yes, use the grid for that. And what I would do is I would turn on your grid. You'll find the grid here in the right layer panel. Right here it says grid. And what you would do is you would set that grid to say that that's 5 feet, or 5 feet square, not square feet, 5 feet here. And then you would scale your stamps to that 5 foot grid. So you would put like a corpse in there, scale it up to the grid. You could have the corpse could fit right into the 5 foot grid, or you could have it be like 6 foot to where maybe the head sticks out of the grid a little bit more. And then now that you have your grid set, you have your scale set for your stamp, you're going to scale everything to that corpse or to that body or to the grid. So when you're putting things together, setting your scale right away, that should be the first thing you do. That will help you to make sure there's consistency in stamp sizes, because I do see a lot of maps where I have one where there's a stamp that's massive and another stamp is tiny. There seems to be a scaling issue that takes place. So if you set scale in the beginning, it will be much easier for you, because then you'll have to go ahead and set the scale after you've placed the stamps, and that means resizing everything to fit that scale. So first thing you should do with any map, battle map or otherwise, is set your scale, and I use the grid for that. Let's go ahead and turn that grid up. I hope that answered your question. Okay. It's okay. No worries about that, Recon. No worries about whether things were misspelled or whatever. I know that you're trying to quickly write in that question, so totally okay. All right, where are we at for time? 56. Let's go ahead and just add, like I said, we're going to add we'll add these last bit of stamps here, because I think I do want to see what it looks like with the various stamps here. So I definitely want to add those in here. So we'll go ahead and add these in. Let's see here. This curved one right here should work well. That one should also work well. Let's try that. That looks good. I might have to rotate just a little bit to get it to match. That looks good. We'll copy and paste these. There we go. That looks good. Copy and paste. Put that together. That looks good. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and add the last bits. Let's put a little cart that kind of goes in this way. That kind of makes sense. And then maybe a couple that go into here. No, that doesn't look right. Let's go ahead and do it this way instead. Go like that. And then a smaller one. And then put that one in just like that. There we go. That looks good. Let's also put another one that kind of goes a little bit like, let's see here. Yeah, that looks good. Let's go ahead and put like a turnaround kind of thing. So we'll put one right here. Another one right here like this, and then that way it looks like the carts, when they go to do a turnaround, they're going a turnaround around that last building there. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and add one here. That looks good. Let's add another one in right here like this. There you go. Don't forget to do this. These little tiny L-shaped ones are really, really helpful, because you want to show this illusion that there's multiple tracks. If you have just one set of tracks, it looks a little unreal, right? Because it wouldn't just be one set of tracks. It's a large city, lots of carts are coming in and out, so you would expect a lot of cart tracks to be floating around. So kind of keep that in mind here. Let's go ahead and put another one right here like this. Just put the track just like right in front like this. That looks good. And then I'll go ahead and connect that with this one right here like that. There we go. That looks good. Let's go ahead and rotate just a little bit more this way. There we go. That looks good. Okay. So as you can see, using tracks is really, really nice. And I'll just go ahead and place a couple tiny ones kind of going around here as well. It doesn't have to, the thing is, you don't have to fill in every single one. Just having a little bit of tracks is really, really helpful. You don't have to have tracks for every single section. There we go. That looks good. Let me just take a step back and look at it. Yeah, those tracks look good. It makes sense. You would expect a lot of tracks on the main route. And then when I'll off screen, I'll add some tracks to this military district as well, since I already showed you kind of how to do it. But I think overall, this turned out fairly well. You get the general idea on kind of how to put a block together. I'll just real quickly recap. Put your biggest buildings or your main buildings first, what I call your centerpieces, like infrastructure buildings, whatever it might be. Then you put in your large blocks, your medium-sized blocks, and then your small buildings, and then you would also throw in your shacks and outbuildings or auxiliary buildings. One thing I didn't do, which is the other step, was to add crates and barrels, these little crates and barrels. I'll do that off screen because I showed you how to do that, but crates and barrels, you're often going to find them right next to the shacks and the outbuildings, right? Because that's where you would expect a lot of that stuff to be. You would expect to be it next to these outbuildings. So we'll put some on there off screen. And then when we go to make our next block over here, our next city district, I'll make sure to include that in the step. All right. Well, it looks like it's saved and good to go. I'll let everyone go. But I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks for bearing with me and helping me to make this block. I'll see you all next week. So please stay safe and healthy and merry map making, okay? All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next week.